Hi, Sheila Guffey here with Creative Aging. We are going to continue learning how to emboss, and we are going to work with hot air balloons today. And so the last video I did, I just kind of showed you basic techniques of how embossing works. So if you need to look at that and just review, then that's okay. If not, I'll go over all the steps again today in this video. And so you are going to need embossing powder. You can either use, I used gold and silver in this one. You can see as I move the paper around, you can see how it kind of shines in the light. Okay, so this is, the lines are embossed. They're either silver or gold. And then the rest of it is watercolor paints. Let me show you this one. This one just has silver. There we go. Sorry, I'm trying to catch the sunlight so you can really see the embossed lines. This is such a fun thing to do. It's normally card making, but we're gonna do it for painting today. Makes a simple painting look way better. I'm gonna add some embossed lines here later in the video because I just think this one looks boring. So I'll show you how to add lines too at the end. So for supplies, we are going to use watercolor paper. You can use a full sheet or you can cut it in half. So these are all different sizes. This is a square. This is a half sheet. This one's a full sheet. So use whatever size you want for your watercolor paper. You'll of course need your watercolor paints, a couple paint brushes. Point brushes are always good. Just anything where you can get some good detail. So I definitely recommend a point brush. If you don't have it, then make whatever you have work for you. And then you'll need a pencil for your drawing. And then the embossing supplies. These are the embossing pens. They come in a pack of 2. You can buy them at any craft store. Sometimes they're kind of hard to find. You might have to have help. They are in the card making section, and they usually a craft store will only have one brand. So you would find maybe this set of 2 and it's hidden among a bunch of other card stuff. So you do have to kind of really look around. And then next to these pens, you're gonna see the embossing powder. So this is the silver and this is the gold. You can buy any color you want. They have reds, blacks, whites. I just find the silver and gold is shinier and it's gonna last you for a long, long time. So you can really use the silver and gold with a lot of projects, and especially around the holiday time, if you wanna make your own gift tags or your own Christmas cards, you will definitely use embossing. And then you'll need a heat gun. Okay, so I recommend going online and maybe looking up hot air balloon line drawings and then figure out, you know, a simple line drawing in a pattern that you like. And if you want to draw from that, then that's fine. Or, you know, hot air balloon is pretty basic shape. So you can just free draw this and make your own design as you go. Everybody's a different type of artist, so it just depends on what you're comfortable with. So I've already kind of got my outline, my general outline, just to save time so we can focus on the painting part and the embossing part. So I just did an outline, and then I'm gonna keep it pretty simple as far as my design. I'm gonna do some like zigzags, I think, right in the middle. So I'm just going to draw the zigzags first. And none of this has to be perfect, you know? These are whimsical and fun, and you know, it's not totally realistic. I mean, you can make it that way if you want, but and we're gonna cover up these lines with the embossing pen and powder. So normally I advise you to draw really lightly, but I think today it's fine, whatever you wanna do. Because we are definitely gonna cover this up. So please feel free to do whatever design you want inside your hot air balloon. This one is, you know, I'm just kind of playing. The other ones, let me show you again, like this one, I drew the outline the same way, and then I broke down the space with the lines, I'm gonna do the same lines on my zigzag just to show the curves of the balloon. Then I erased some lines and I just did the same kind of thing as zigzag there and did big diamonds. So, you know, any of these designs, I mean, they're pretty easy, you know, just be thoughtful and think about, you want to show the curve of the balloon. So don't draw straight lines, because if you look at hot air balloon pictures, you're not going to see any with straight lines. So I'm going to do the lines now, and you can start with lines in the middle if you want, or on the sides. I'm going to go ahead and start in the middle. And this is where you might want to draw lighter, just to make sure if you don't like your design, you can always erase it. I'm gonna draw a little darker just so you guys can see it for the video. So I'm just curving the line slightly, and I'm not gonna do too many, just a few, you can see them. But it shows the curves of the balloon. And then I did, you know, a couple for the strings and then the basket. I don't know if those are called strings. I don't know what they're called. I've never ridden in a hot air balloon, so one day. So the pins come in black and clear. You can use either. And I kind of prefer the clear. It's harder to see. I don't know, I'm gonna use it. I know you're gonna have a hard time seeing it, but it looks better because the black, you can see the black lines underneath the embossing sometimes. So it's great because it looks like stained glass, but the clear one just shows the embossing powder. So I prefer this one, but it is just a little bit tricky. So think about what lines you want to emboss. If you want to emboss all these lines, you need to go over every single line with your pen. And we're gonna do this first. I know in the last video, I did the painting first and the embossing last. You can do either, but because I want to paint this right away, I wanna emboss first. So I'm just gonna very carefully go over every line with my pen. Make sure while you're doing this, you do not touch your pen mark. The oils from your hand will take it away and it won't work. Everybody has natural oils in their skin, and then also with lotions. You just don't want to really touch your paper anywhere where the embossing powder is gonna go. And I'm just gonna do the outline of the basket. I don't think I'm gonna do all the lines on the inside. So to avoid touching everywhere I just went, I'm kind of going to I'm gonna be careful about what lines I do next. So I think I'm gonna do my zigzag first, and then I'm gonna do the rest of my lines. And if you wanted to do the zigzag entirely silver or gold, then you'd have to color in the entire section. But I'm just gonna do an outline first. Remember, in my first video, I kind of showed you do less because you can always add more embossing, but you cannot take embossing away. So if you emboss a line and all of a sudden you don't like it, there's nothing you can do about it. So I like to do usually a little bit less, and I can always add more later. And you know, as always with art, just be patient and go slow. You can tell when people rush. It's sloppy and it's not thoughtful, and the whole point of doing art is to just be mindful and relax and, you know, just really be thoughtful about every single thing you do matters. Every line that you put on this page should matter. And if you make a mistake, you should figure out how to make it look not like a mistake. Okay, so see how I'm using my hand over here and I'm not touching anywhere I just went. It is kind of harder than you think because you're used to putting your hand on the paper to keep it still. So it might take some of you some work. And this is where I'm going to turn it so I make sure I don't put my hand on that side. And this is a clear pen, but hopefully you can see in the video the lines that I go over, just turn a little darker. It's like it makes it almost wet. So you can see where you've been before. And if you really have a hard time seeing, then use your black pen, that's fine. The black pen works just fine. So if your eyes aren't the best, then use the black pen so you can see what you're doing, or have an activities director help you with this part. And then go down here, I'm gonna go over these lines. And you know, I can't remember if I went over these lines. Talking and embossing is actually a little bit harder than I thought. So if I just went over those lines again, that's okay too. But we're gonna find out right now. So I'm gonna decide if I want gold or silver. I think I'm gonna do the silver. Maybe I'll do both, I'm not sure. I think I'll just do silver right now. So go over your lines, pour the powder. I personally like to move the powder around, and I just kind of put a little bit on and then I move it on my page to where the powder needs to fall everywhere you did a line, and then it's gonna stick. So move it. And make sure to have something underneath. Actually, I'm gonna switch. Because I want this to be recycled. Probably a little late, but I'm gonna put a piece of paper underneath it, and then that way all of the embossing powder is gonna fall on the paper and I can recycle it back into my jar. You don't wanna waste these supplies, they are a little expensive. Well, it's about $5.99 a jar, and then the pens are about $4. But it will last you a long time if you recycle it and take care of it. And not touching it is going to help keep oils out of your embossing powder. So see how I just tapped it? This is to get the extra little powder, off of it, because if there's a little bitty sprinkle over there, it's gonna get embossed and it's gonna look like a mistake. So I want it to stick where I have the embossing pen, but I don't want little pieces down here. So I think I got it. Now, I actually can see it on all my lines. If you need to go over anything, if you're not seeing it very well in one spot, you can definitely put some back on and move it around again. So say that spot didn't get as much as you wanted, just go over it again, tap it away again. Make sure to tap it on your page so you recycle that. And then take your heat gun. Remember, this is not a hair dryer. This is a heat gun, and it does get hot. So as you can see, the metal is melted. This will burn your hand. Please do not touch the front of the metal. Be really careful. I mean, I've never burned myself with this thing, but it's because I'm careful and I don't touch the top of it. So I do the lowest setting because then I have more control and I take my time. If you actually do the high setting, you can burn the paper. Just make sure, see where my finger is? Don't put this over your finger. But it's fine. My finger's pretty close and it doesn't even feel warm. I just want you to be very mindful of how you use this heat gun. So you can tell, look, it's already heating up and it's turning silver. Whenever it's completely silver and shiny, you're ready to move on to the next part of your lines. So just go over every single line till it's completely metallic and looks like metal. And if you use the low setting, you can get pretty close to your paper, as you see. If you actually touch your paper with this heat gun, it might smear some of your embossing. I've done that many times. I'm pretty good now though, I don't usually do that. But when we have a class and I'm embossing like 20 people's pictures, you're kind of rushed, so I've definitely made mistakes. All right, I think we got that. Let's make sure. There we go. You can usually tell when a line is not finished. It looks kind of still powdery. Let's turn that off and look at it. there's the beautiful embossed lines. It looks so pretty. I love embossing. It makes any drawing gorgeous. Okay, let's set this aside. I'm going to put this back in my jar, and then I'm going to switch over to watercolor painting. So see, you can just bend the paper, dump it right back into your little jar. And then I actually see I got some right there too. I'm gonna try to save that as well. This will just really make your supplies last a lot longer. And you will make a mess sometimes. This stuff, it's like glitter. It'll just make you look really festive for the day because you probably will end up with embossing powder somewhere on your face and you'll just look pretty and sparkly. Okay, now let's switch over to watercolor painting. And you can do any colors you want. You know, this is just red and blue, and that little gray down here. And you can make this complex, you can make it really simple. Feel free to, you know, just look at an image and find a hot air balloon that you love and do that one. If you picked a hot air balloon online, the perfect one that you want to fly in, then maybe just paint that one. It might make you happy for your fantasy life. Okay, I'm getting my brushes wet, and you can paint right over these embossed lines, and you'll see that in a minute. I'm going to show you. So I'm figuring out, I'm thinking about what colors I want everything. I have no idea. I might do these red. I'm trying to think of what the focal color I want. I just don't know. So let's just start. I'm gonna do this kind of pink. I'm trying to think of colors I don't have in my other balloon pictures. And you can just start painting, and you can go over the lines. It won't bother it. Once that's embossed, it's there. It's really good, and it won't go away. Now, if you use too much water on your brush and you keep painting over your embossed lines, it might fade a little bit, and you can emboss it again to shine it up. But for the most part, as you can see, I'm painting over some of these lines and you can't even tell. That's what's so great about using embossing with watercolor. And it's so fun. Once you get into it, you can really make some unique professional cards. People will be so impressed with your cards. Even as a little kid, I made my own little cards for everybody. I don't know why. I've always been into it since I was a kid. All right, so I'm not doing anything fancy with this watercolor painting. I'm just painting, but you can definitely mix colors and, you know, do whatever you want. I'll do blue, maybe right here. For those of you that like coloring books, this is a great project for you because it's like you're making your own coloring page. Except it's going to be super fancy. You can hang it on the wall and everyone will be blown away because nobody knows how to do embossing. I just learned how to do embossing like a few years ago. I'd never even heard of it. I mean, all of art school, and I have a master's degree, and I never heard of embossing before. So I don't think it's a common art form that a lot of people know how to do. Okay, and just rinse your brush and just keep thinking about what colors you want. You know, if you wanted to do the whole hot air balloon now, one color, you could do that. You could do stripes behind it. It's kind of up to you. We could do, I want to show you how to paint over these lines, how well it works. So I'm going to maybe do I don't know. I might do 2 colors. Or maybe I'll do the inside of 1 color. Let me think. I'm gonna start over here. Let's brighten it up and use some orange. So I'm using this orange. And one thing that this orange, if I don't like it, I can go over part of it with red. So I wanted to show you how I'm just gonna paint directly over this line, and I want you to see how it really works, and your embossed lines will stay perfectly shiny. So you don't have to be so careful about your lines. You can actually paint over. So if you wanted to paint your entire hot air balloon orange and then go over, let's do that. We're gonna do a few colors. So I'm gonna do all orange, and then maybe I'll add some red stripes, because you can paint over and then you can blend your own colors. That way you're not being so careful. Now right there I'm being careful because I don't want my orange and my blue to mix, so. And you can kind of do a light, you know, so we're doing really light, like more water, less paint. Because then if I wanted to add yellows or I want to add reds or change my colors, I can. I can always go on top of this orange. If you do it too dark, it's going to be harder to mix later. Okay, so, and you can see my embossed lines? Still perfectly shiny. So don't be afraid to paint right over them. The only colors that may be dark enough to not cover them up, but just dull them might be the purple or the brown. The purple and the brown for sure are dark. Okay. So I'll go ahead and I'm gonna do my orange down here, and actually no, maybe I won't. I think I'm gonna do orange and then have the colors fade into bright red down here. I think that might be cool. We'll see. I might change this idea later. So I'm gonna use this middle. So I think I'm gonna try to do like light orange and this middle red and then a dark red. Just so it looks like maybe it's a natural graduation. And by the way, I know I told you to be really careful about not touching your embossed lines. Now it's okay. Just so you know, your hands, and if your hands have lotion or whatever, Vaseline on them, it won't bother it now. You just have to be careful early on. And really, it's probably best not to put lotion on your hand before art class. A lot of people have problems with it, you know, from the clay, and it actually does change a lot of the supplies, so don't put lotion on right before art class. So I'm doing it light again. So see how dark it is there? I'm gonna move that around. And I'm gonna go right against this purple. Kind of pink. I was actually just looking at a whole bunch of hot air balloons. I just got back from Mexico. Last night, got back. So I almost did a beach painting today. But I think we've done a beach painting, so I decided on hot air balloons. All right, so I decided to go a little brighter here. I might regret this, I'm not sure. So I just, I'm gonna move this around. It was looking a little too faded. So well, that's one thing is, you know, if you start light, you can always add more it's harder to take away. So start lighter with watercolors. I know I've said this before. It's just a reminder. Okay, now maybe do the darkest red down there. So I'm washing my brush, and I'm using the same brush the whole time. If you did any intricate lines, you might need to switch to a smaller brush, but this size is working pretty well. So this is the kind of brightest red. It's got a lot less orange in it. And of course, if you wanted to paint each stripe different, that'd be pretty too, like kind of do a rainbow balloon where each stripe is painted a different color. Just make it your own. Don't make it look like this example, please. I want you to use the colors that you like and what would match your house or what makes you happy, and everyone has favorite colors. And what's funny is orange is my least favorite color. So the fact that I even chose orange is pretty weird. I'm trying to branch out. I feel like my examples all look the same because I have certain colors I like. All right, here we go. And if you wanted, you could even add this orange. Like we can make it more to where it doesn't look like stripes of colors. You can even bring this into it to where it looks like it's fading. I don't think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna think about it, but I don't know if I wanna do that. But you can do that. That is an option. And say you wanted to make that purple. If you don't like the pink, you can add purple. Just make sure warm colors, keep the warm colors together, the cool colors. Don't muddy your colors. You know, if you wanna layer and blend, just think about color theory and what matches, what mixes well. So I'm not gonna put many colors on top of this pink, but purple might be fine. So I'm gonna make it darker. I think that'll look nice. When I did the pink, I really didn't know I'd go the red right there. So I want it to just be a little bit more of a contrast. And if you want to make these cards, I did hot air balloons today because a lot of people they're sick of COVID. Thankfully, a lot of us are getting vaccinated, which that's why I went to Mexico to celebrate my vaccination, just mainly to get out of town. But I thought with the hot air balloons, you could do some really cute, sweet, cheesy message like, you know, lifting your spirits up, or spring is on the way, or you can definitely write a little message with this. And you can emboss the message, so whatever you write, you can emboss. Okay, and think about what color you want right there. I'm gonna do the darkest red. I think might as well, we could go with this. So that's the dark red right there. Let's see how it looks. Okay. Figure out what color you want to do the basket. You can do any color you want. Gray, brown. You can make it a color. We can make it blue since there's that blue line up there if you wanted to do a shade of blue. It's up to you. I'll just do blue. And I did it light, so if I wanted to change it, I can blot it away and change it, so totally your call. And this is where you can really brighten it up or add a background. You can add dots. So say if you have anywhere that you want more design, if you want design out here, you can, you know, maybe add some dots. Let's get a smaller brush. See how that looks. If you want to bring that purple like above the blue, you can do that. Make sure there's not much water on your brush for this part. Let me show you up close though. Here we go. That's how it's looking. This is where you can either, you know, if you want to brighten some of the oranges up, add yellows. You want to change the color completely, you can make it all bright red. I'm just going to see how this looks and just add little dots as part of the design around my zigzag. So I have just a little bit of water and more paint on my brush, so I have control over the dots. Just barely tapping it. I can do the same thing underneath. Okay, is that, so just a little extra detail can look nice. So just keep adding to your design until you really like what you see. Like if you wanted to add some stripes to where it looks like a basket down here, you can do that. I'll switch to the dark blue and I'm gonna use my small brush again. Blue, I don't want much water. So say you wanted to add little lines, so maybe it looks kind of like basket texture. One good thing is if you don't like it, cover it up. So say I don't like that, I'm gonna paint over it and just make it all dark blue. So it's, you know, sometimes it's worth just trying things to see what you like. You can always, you know, wet your paper towel and blot some of it away, or you could cover it up with a darker color. Just make sure that darker color mixes with the color you used. Otherwise, you're gonna get a lot of brown. And I don't think many people go on vacation and rent the brown hot air balloon. Nobody picks the dark brown one as their favorite. Okay, so let me show you the other ones. Again, just so you can see, since you have an idea of how I did it and the technique. Here's this. And this one, I added just a very, very light wash in the background. So I did the very lightest blue with a big brush, and I just went over the whole background with a lot of water and a little bit of blue. And then I used my paper towel to dot some of it away to give it the illusion of clouds. We've done this so many times, so I'm not going to show you how to do it again right now. But I have entire videos on how to do clouds. It's super easy and fun. But you can tell, you can even see exactly how I use my paper towel. So that's just a light blue wash, dabbing with a paper towel to make kind of a cloudy effect. You don't want it to look too windy. You want it to look peaceful. And then, you know, this one obviously is blue. This, I used gold embossing powder, and I also used silver. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so there's the difference. You can use both, just do them separately. So if you're gonna use both, then maybe, you know, just whatever you want silver, do that first. So use your pen, go over the lines that you want silver, do the powder, emboss it with your heat gun, knock that off, move it aside, and then do the lines gold. They have to stay separated. You don't want your silver and gold to get all mixed up. So keep it 2 separate times. And it can also be an afterthought. Say you did all of this gold and you want to add silver, then you can go in later and add silver. So if I wanted to add gold anywhere in this one at this point, I could do that, which actually I will for you right now. Let me add a gold line above my zigzag. Actually, I'll do, let me think. I can either do a gold basket or I could do a gold line above this zigzag, above this one. Let's do that. So make sure your paint is dry. All right, and think about where you want it. So make sure it's dry. You don't want to ruin these pens. You want these pens to last a long time because they're expensive. And they very delicate. You know, you don't want to touch these pens. You don't want to color anything else with these pens. You don't want to press too hard. Just take good care of them. I'm going to go on the inside, maybe. Hold on, I'm thinking. Be thoughtful about where you want to put your embossed lines because you cannot go back. I'm telling you, be very careful. I think I'm going to add a gold at the bottom of each zigzag. So I'm going to go above my silver and I'm just going to add gold. So it'll look like a gold and silver stripe. And I'm going to do it both on the blue and the purple. And I just felt, darn it, see, this is what you need to be careful of. I just broke my own rule. I usually give it a little more time, but because it's a video, I'm trying to hurry. So your hand could possibly get in some wet paint if you're not, everything else was dry except for that maroon part. So I just smeared a little bit of it. I'll show you how to get rid of that in a minute. All right, so I've got the silver and gold, and I might do gold in the basket too. So I'll go right here. All right, now get your piece of paper out again so you can let your embossing powder drop and you can put it back in your container. Now, because this part is wet right here, I don't want this gold anywhere near that part that I just smeared. So be careful. Just don't do this part if you have any bit of wet spots. So I am putting this right on top. And really, if you're at home, I recommend you waiting about 15 minutes before you add any more embossing, just to make sure it's totally dry, because this can also stick to your paint. And then when you emboss it with your heat gun, it's gonna be there. So it's gonna stick to your paint and it will kind of ruin your painting. Just be careful. So I'm putting it down here, and because I know where my wet spot is, it's right there. I don't want my powder to go anywhere near that. So I am going to let all of my embossed powder fall this way and not this way, because it would fall into my red. So be mindful if you do have any parts that are have a little water in them. So see, I'm gonna go this direction and then it won't hit that same spot. Okay, it looks like it's stuck to exactly where I wanted. Turn my heat gun on. Let's see it change. And it takes a minute, but not long. That looks so good, actually. I am really happy that I went with gold because it brought out the reds and the oranges. It's pretty. There you go. Hopefully you can just see how shimmery and beautiful that is. So that looks really cool, and it's easy. I know sometimes art is intimidating to people, but you know, once you just simplify everything, all of these shapes are easy. Anybody can do these. I know every day about 5 people tell me they're not an artist. and they can't do it, but you can do it. Everybody can doodle and draw certain shapes, and art is all learning. Most people have not had art classes before, so it's just a process, and it's teaching your brain how to think this way. So I know Lee and I hear it all the time that people aren't an artist, and we don't care if you're an artist or not, if you don't consider yourself an artist. This is just learning and fun, and you know, most people haven't experienced these things, and I doubt many of you have done embossing, so please have fun with it. Don't get so stressed out, and don't beat yourself up. I swear, once you just let loose and have fun, you're really going to enjoy it, and that's when you're going to learn, and you're going to be excited the next time you do it. Anyways, so now at this point, you can let it dry all the way, hang it up. If you wanted to make it into a card, you could use your embossing pen and write a little message, and you can write your cursive or whatever your handwriting is. You can write a little message, whatever you want, your favorite poem, an inspirational saying, a letter to someone. You'd write it anywhere you want. You can emboss the lines, and then it will go with your little painting. Anyways, I will see you next time. I'm going to see a lot of you in your facilities because about 8 places have opened up to us. So I am thrilled to be teaching in person again. But of course, you know, these videos are still going to be coming out, so you can do both. You can do online videos with me, and then some of you I'll see in person, and we're going to learn something new every single time. Enjoy. Bye.